These panels behind me are for the community solar project that they got going back in 2020. Now, it was supposed to be installed back in 2021, but because of COVID and supply chain issues, things got delayed a few years, and it eventually went active in November 2023. So there was three different ways that you could join into the program, with either a per kilowatt charge, upfront charge, or a monthly charge. And my wife and I decided to get 2 units and pay the upfront fee because we figured over time we'd end up paying a lot less for electric rates because of this. Now, it's been a full year now, and I can finally start bringing up some information showing how much energy we did get out of this and how much it's probably going to save us over time. And the reason we did this is we looked back in the last 20 years, because this program lasts for 25 years, and over the last 20 years, the electric rates have gone up 2.5 times. So, over the course of the years, we could, instead of spending, 13 cents kilowatt hour, it might be up to 33 cents in the next 25 years. Now, I counted these panels approximately. There's about 1,300 of them. There's a second row behind this original row, and that one's a little bit longer than this. So I figured out that there's about maybe 2 panels per kilowatt of the capacity that's here, and the whole system is 460 kilowatts, which, this does take up a lot of space for what's not actually a significant amount of power. Now, I do use the energy from this to power my electric car, which I'll do a video on in the future, and my heat pump, which I've already done a video about how much I'm saving with the heat pump. Now, my wife and I purchased 2 blocks in this system. So we're supposed to get, I think it was 1 kilowatt for every block. So we have a 2 kilowatt block, which I think is approximately 4 panels here. I'd have to do the math when I get home because I didn't have these counted until I got here. So now that you can see what they did to the project here, I'm going to head home and do some Excel spreadsheets and show you how much energy we've got over the different months over the year, and what that actually saved us in power. Now, we're on and off peak rate, so we do save more during the day than at night or weekends, because the weekends are off peak. But for the most part, over the last year, we did save a decent amount of electricity, and it'll just continue to go up from there because of the increase in rates. Now, it was a little bit steep, but not terrible. Each block was about $2,400, and the way it's been going so far, I think we'll recover. We'll break even in about 8 to 10 years between the 2 blocks that we have. So that isn't terrible. I mean, there's other investments we could have done, but because of the way the rates are increasing, it might actually have been better, to actually do the upfront cost here and save over time, than to hope for some returns that may or may not develop. Okay, so now for some of the information about how that solar project's been working out for me. Now, this is a sample electric bill that we get. My bill is by the month here. I use this much. Keep in mind I have a heat pump and electric car, so it's a bit higher than it used to be. In the winter, they don't charge us for sales tax on the power we use because something about the heating, and that's true with the natural gas too, so we don't pay sales tax in the winter. And with the solar project, they charge us on peak, and they give it to us on peak and off peak, which the off peak is generally the weekends and the occasional holiday like 4th of July or Thanksgiving, so that's not a big deal about how much it comes off. The standard rate we're paying here is currently 7.74 cents, and every month they adjust it slightly, and it brought it down to maybe about 7 cents because of this. I'm only showing the off-peak energy here because the solar project actually used enough to offset all of my on-peak energy, because I try to use the car chargers in off-peak times anyways. So the on-peak rate is somewhere around 15-16 cents an hour. So, and if you don't use enough of it, it rolls over to the next bill. So The usage here for my on-off peak was 620, but they were able to take 55 off because of the solar project. And the on peak was 173, which because of the rollover from the previous, and the energy was 194, so they were able to completely take off the on peak. Now I've made this little spreadsheet here showing some of the information about how much I've got over the previous year, because we started back in November 2023, and they break it down the bill for on and off peak. So for the first month here, there was 120 kilowatt hours, December was 86, and January was 52, which I was quite disappointed in. Now, what they said originally is over the course of the year, one unit would give you 15 to 1800 kilowatt hours. Now, we got 27, 28 in the first 12 months, so that's even below the 1500, but I'd probably say not too far off on that. And in the July was our peak production here, with between on and off peak we got 355. So over the course of the year, I figured out how much we saved in 2023. It knocked 2853 off the bill, and 2024 so far it knocked 334.39. And, well, that's actually an average. I just took our average rates of on and off peak and calculated them out rather than having to figure out, fractions of a cent here and there. So we saved about $362 over the course of the first year, and figuring in on and off peak rates average over the next 25 years of the project, it'll save us about $9,050. Now, we invested a little less than $4,900 into the project, so that should be able to we'll grab a calculator here, and 4,900 divided by 362 means we'll probably break even in 13 and a half years, and the rest of it's free after that. But that's not considering the increase in rates over time, which is generally going to happen, because when I moved in here 20 years ago, I was paying about 5 cents, and now the standard rate's up to about 12. So knowing how much of the project I own, which I can't remember if it was 460 or 470 kilowatt panel for all the panels, but overall that 10 isn't really going to make a whole difference in the numbers. Now, what I figured out over here is I counted there was approximately 1,300 panels. If it's a 460 watt installation, that means it's about 350 watts a panel. And my wife and I own 2 out of the 460, which means we own 5.7 panels. Now, over the course of the year, because I could just multiply by 230, the peak month generated approximately 81,650 kilowatt hours, and the minimum produced about 12,650, for a total of about 627,000 for the whole year. Averaged out over the course of the day on the peak month was about 2721, minimum month 421, and overall over the course of the year is about 1719. I looked up the Wisconsin daily average for how much power people typically use, and it's about 21 kilowatt hours a day. So in the peak month, it'll power about 129 and a half homes, but in the minimum month, that whole installation you saw out there is enough to power about 20 homes. That's a lot of space out there, a lot of panels for 20 homes. We're in an area that gets a lot of snow, a lot of darkness. It gets dark in December at 4:30 at night, and it doesn't get light till almost 8 o'clock in the morning, so there's not a lot of daylight to actually produce electricity. And I think a lot of January was kind of more dark and cloudy than December, because we actually did get more, even though that's got the shortest day of the month. Now, doing here, we got to figure out what 10 kilowatt hours would power, because I said over here that I got 52 in a month. Well, 10 will power a 2-ton central air conditioner for about 10 hours, my heat pump 3 1/3, a laptop about 200, one of those 100 watt equivalent LED bulbs about 833 hours,
Yeah, they use almost nothing. 1500 watt space heater, 6.66 hours, and that basically heats one room. But the heat pump heats the whole house, and it only uses up about twice as much power as something that's just one room. Space heaters are really not a good deal. My electric car, that 10 kilowatt hours, will drive me about 40 miles. In the winter, when you got to use the heat, yeah, not nearly that much. 60-inch LED TV, you can run about 114 hours, and standard electric water heater, about 2.5 hours of run time. And it probably takes a whole hour to recover, if you were to empty out the 40-50 gallons of hot water in there. So that's about what you figure in there. But overall, I could probably give another update in another year to go and see how these numbers have changed. Originally, they gave these estimates on what we could expect per month. But, other than, they never really hit the numbers. Okay, we were just about there in September, and we did beat it in October, but we had very little rain, and it was a lot more sunny days that month. So, for the most part, their estimates weren't the greatest. That's what they gave us when we were signing up for the program. So, it was a little bit pricey, but we're gonna eventually, recover what we put into it, and it's just kind of nice knowing that we have some set rates on there that we're not actually going to have to pay for the next 25 years. And with this, it's giving me kind of an idea if I want to go and put some solar on my roof anyways. I still need to do an electrical panel upgrade and see if my wire going out to the box is even supported for 200 amps, so might have to go do that too. So that might be a couple years in the future before I get around to doing that. But for the most part, I think solar can be good. It's just that, if you're this far north, on the tip of Lake Superior, it's not as great as if you're, say, in like Arizona or California or something, because, and our rates really aren't that high compared to other parts of the country. Our base rate, if you're not on time use, is about 12 cents, which, for a lot of people, if you're using gas appliances, you're not going to have that big of an electric bill in the course of a month. So hopefully this was pretty informative, and maybe I'll check back next year to see how things have changed and if these numbers really have deviated a lot from what you see here. Thanks, everybody.